it's been 11 days since Russia attacked Ukraine, and there seems to be no sign of the war stopping. And it makes everybody think, yeah, can anybody in this day and age attack another country and not have to face any consequences? So yes, of course, Russia has had to face many, many consequences. Some seem completely bizarre because, you can't buy Chanel and Hermes. Also, Russian cats are feeling the consequences of this war. We'll tell you about that a little later. And then, of course, there are the Western sanctions that Russia is going through. And a lot of these consequences are being felt by the armed Russian people as well as the really rich Russian people. So we thought, let's quickly look at what all Russia has had to face ever since it declared war on Ukraine. So firstly, seriously, Jaggu, the Western sanctions include what?
There's a lot of stuff happening on financial transactions. So there's EU sanctions and there's US sanctions, right? There's also UK sanctions. So each one is, sure, some of them are overlapping. Each one is slightly different from the other. Khas karke who it is that they're putting sanctions against. So banks, for example, they've been saying it's one of the biggest financial sanctions you can put out is banning Russian banks from using the SWIFT international money transfer bank-to-bank codes, right? They've done that with not all Russian banks, but with 7 banks. And these are 7 big banks. So therefore, Russian money going back out or going back into the country is going to be a problem. The oligarchs are dealing with their own issues, and we can discuss that in a bit.
Yeah, but no, the oligarchs so oligarchs are the really, really rich people in Russia. So the Ambanis, Adanis, etc. And like Italy has recently seized their properties and their luxury yachts, and it's like attack. So they said the richest person in Russia. Key properties and yachts and all have been seized. So imagine this happening to who is now the richest person in India, Jaggu? Is it Adani or is it Ambani?
I'm a little confused, but just a little while back, Adani overtook Ambani. I'm not sure whether that has switched yet. So let's say Adani.
But yeah, imagine their houses being seized and their luxury yachts being seized. And then we've also had MasterCard and Visa basically saying you can't use our cards in Russia. So of course you would feel the pinch. You can't swipe anything. You have to carry cash, and there's not much cash.
So it's not just yachts and planes of these oligarchs, right? Also, I'm not going to go into the names because I will mispronounce most of them, but these are established serious billionaires. They are the inner circle of Vladimir Putin. This includes people who go back with him to KGP days or even before. This was well before he was actually in power to the extent that he has been over the last 20 years. So these 2 brothers, they were his judo partners as kids, continued to be his judo partners, and of course part of the inner circle. And there have been sanctions issued against them. They are 100% billionaires.
So the assumption is So the assumption is that because they have his ear, they could pick up the phone and say, "Putin, tu kya kar raha hai yaar? Bas kar." Abhi it is personal.
No. So I look at it a little bit differently. These are people who are in Putin's good books. He trusts them. They go back a long way. So there is a bond of let's say 30, 40 years. So his judo partners, somebody who started by selling hot dogs, did very well, became owner of fine dining restaurants. The Russian elite used to go there. He was part of the inner circle and now is a friend of Putin and a billionaire in his own right. The other guy, you remember that Putin's palace that was allegedly being built in a town off the Black Sea? The guy who actually built it for him is again one of these allegedly built it for him.
So then why attack his inner circle? Why do you think it is attacking the inner circle if not for maybe they'll talk sense to him?
So, okay, the billionaires of Russia own a substantial part of total Russian wealth.
Yeah.
So if you want to attack 30%, if I'm not mistaken, 30% of the wealth in Russia is controlled by Russian oligarchs. Okay. So if you hit a dozen of them, you're hitting the Russian economy. 2, some of this might be Putin's money that is being fronted by them. A lot of it might be Putin's money being fronted by them. So you're hitting Putin directly. 3, what you said, right? The impact of hitting them personally and them having Putin's ear. But here's the thing: they could have just as well spoken to Putin before he attacked and amassed the Russian army, and told him, "Bhai mat kar." And Putin said, "I'm going to do it." So them telling him things into his ear right now, I don't think will make much of a difference. That time has come and gone. So yeah, they're impacting the people closest to Putin. They're impacting possibly Putin's own money, and the Russian economy is taking a hit by just doing sanctions against, let's say, a dozen billionaires.
Also the fact that a lot of Russian artists have cancelled their concerts. International artists who have 100% said hum to nahi aa rahe Russia. UEFA as well as FIFA has banned Russia from competing right now. You mentioned judo, and I know the International Judo Federation has said he is no longer an honorary member. I think he's a president or something.
He was honorary president or something. He's like 6th level black belt and things like that. So
they've
I don't know whether they've withdrawn
away.
His belt status.
Not belt, but they've
sure.
taken away the presidency, and he currently cannot do judo. But I'm sure he's busier and doesn't have that much time to go for judo competitions.
Correct.
So we know that MasterCard, Visa, Netflix apparently is no longer streaming, so Russians will get bored. The Anonymous, which
Apple
is the
is
international,
not selling there anymore.
Apple is not selling anymore, and there have been all these viral videos of Russians breaking their Apple products, saying, "Fine, if you don't want to sell over here anymore, we also don't need your fancy, pretty things." So no more Netflix, H&M, Zara, Chanel, Hermes, etc. I've said hum nahi wahan pe bechenge. I thought this was quite sweet because there are lots. So there is a influencer called Quentin Quarantino, who said, "Hey, if you want to help out the average Russian, how about we basically book holidays in Ukraine right now through Airbnb, and that way they'll get the money, because obviously none of us are going for the holiday in Ukraine." And that idea sort of took, and everybody has really liked it. So apparently $1.9 million they have managed to donate through Airbnb.
Nice.
Airbnb has said, we are not charging any commission and we're not taking our cut, and also it'll go to all those families. And those families have been putting up very sweet sort of messages saying, "Oh my God, this is really, very touching and very sweet. And when everything is over, y'all please come and visit us. And this is a good way of showing solidarity." But
I caught something to the effect of even in the neighboring countries that border Ukraine, people are booking Airbnbs and saying, "Please use those to house refugees coming into the other countries." So your Poland and Hungary and Romania, I think that is also happening on Airbnb, which is a lovely gesture. Lovely.
And that way money is sort of reaching the Ukrainians. The Russians, last I read, they are now starting to feel the pinch because rationing is happening with foodstuff. So essentials like bread, eggs, dairy, some meats, wheat, rice, and all of that, which usually the state controls prices of. Hoarding is not allowed, and they're trying to control. So yes, of course, they're feeling the pinch. Also, I think the average Russian hears so much of state-led propaganda, they're not quite aware of what is going on and what the real truth is, which is where the hacking collective Anonymous comes in. Because they have hijacked a lot of Russian channels, and they're showing live footage of the war in Ukraine ke ye ho raha hai, not what they are showing you. Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of soldiers who are now prisoners of war in Ukraine, Russian soldiers who have surrendered. Did you see that speech, Jaggu? 9 minutes. He has basically said we were misled and we were told, that Ukrainians are Nazis and a fascist regime is in place in Ukraine, and they lied to us and we've come here and it is not the truth. And I don't want to kill people, and there are women crying in front of me and children, and I don't want to do this, and we will never be able to be forgiven. And I will bear the ramification. And he encouraged other soldiers from also giving up arms. So I think maybe a collection of all these consequences could make a difference, but it is not seeming like Putin is backing down.
No, look, he's bought into this right now. His presidency, his reputation, his country is all at stake. It's going to take, I suppose, more for him to end up backing down. In the meantime, in the international markets, stuff is going crazy. Like if you look at the ruble versus the dollar, for all of last year, it was trading at about 75 rubles to $1. Okay. A little before the attack happened on the 24th of Feb, if I'm not mistaken. the ruble started depreciating against the dollar. From 75, we saw in 80, 83, 85. Just a little while back, it was at 106, but that wasn't even the lowest point. It's crossed over 120 rubles to the dollar. And yes, so we've seen substantial depreciation. Like 30 rubles to the dollar is like current, and it's probably going to get worse.
And for perspective, the ruble is sort of like the rupee, like the so imagine the rupee suddenly trading at 105 and 110 to the dollar and all. Like, of course, will be affected. Everything gets affected. Everything that is imported gets more expensive every time. It's not just about you traveling. कि अगर मैं बहुत foreign country जाऊंगा, then I need the dollars and all. No, everything that we import gets more expensive. So things are getting very expensive in Russia. Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's going to happen internationally is everything is going to get expensive. One, because the whole logistics issue because of COVID is to there only. Oil prices have gone through the roof, and this will no doubt also affect high importing countries like India. For perspective, oil a barrel was a year ago around $70 a barrel. A month ago, it was $95 a barrel. Yesterday, it was about $115, $116 a barrel. This morning, it has gone up $10 a barrel. Yeah. Absolutely. It's trading at around $130 a barrel because literally they've announced, I think the EU has announced sanctions about not importing any more Russian oil. So it's crazy. Also, 70 to 90 a month ago and now 130.
But and as Indians, we've been paying anyway through our noses for petrol and diesel. It has been much more expensive than anywhere else in the world. Because of the taxes and all, and now the election results are being announced. So everybody, please full tank up right now. Like you finish watching this
after
video,
the election results are announced. It's going to go through the roof. They're going to increase the prices.
So please, ये एपिसोड खत्म करते ही सीधा गाड़ी में बैठ के जाके अपना फुल टाइम जरूर करा लेना. But well, so there are consequences whether they're affecting Putin or not. We are on the flip side hoping that Putin has some very favorite cats of his. Because the final consequence has been FIFA basically banning Russian cats from international competition. So FIFA is what? The Federation International...
The Fédération Internationale Feline. No. Well, feline, but I'm trying to French it up as much as I can and I'm doing it very badly. So yes, the International Feline Federation has said, and look, we might be saying this with a smile on our face about FIFA, but they're huge. One, they're decades old. They are an international federation for felines. We're talking internationally about 700 feline competitions a year. 200,000 cats take part. And the pedigree of cats and all of that, now that all is sorted out and
the
registered
certification
with FIFA.
No, and the certification कि आपकी cat एकदम fancy है. That certificate comes from FIFA. So they have said we will no longer give these certifications to Russian cats.
Absolutely.
And they will not be.
And Russian cats are not allowed to take part in international contests.
And I know for a fact that there are dog people and there are cat people in the world. But when cat people are annoyed like this, and जब cat people के दिल पे बात आती है, then they also get up and revolt. So maybe all the cat loving people in Russia are going to revolt against their president. Here's keeping our fingers crossed that all these consequences lead to repercussions and lead to Putin changing his mind, because 11 days of a war in 2022 just does not work for anyone. Talk to us in the comments. Tell us what you thought of this episode. Please like the video if you do. Remember to subscribe, turn that bell icon on, and please share with people who you think would enjoy the kind of content that Jaggu and I put up. Okay? Thank you. Stay safe. Thank you for watching. We're Jaggu and Tarana.
You take care. Bye-bye.